Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the Hughes Harmony and watched the stars through the large window. Today was the biggest day in human history. They were about to meet aliens for the first time. Real aliens from another world. Lisa had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. The ship was humanity's first diplomatic vessel, built just for this meeting. Every detail had been planned perfectly. The crew had practiced their greeting words hundreds of times. They knew exactly how to bow, how to speak, and how to act polite. "Captain, we're getting close to the meeting point," said Commander Jake Williams. He was the military man on the ship, but today he wore a dress uniform instead of combat gear. Even his voice sounded more formal than usual. "Good. Are all teams ready?" Lisa asked. Dr. Kevin Thompson walked up to them. He was the ship's expert on alien life. For months, he had been studying the messages from the Zilithians. That was what the aliens called themselves. "Captain, I've gone over their culture files one more time. These beings really care about respect and order. They speak in very formal ways. We must do the same." Lisa nodded. She had read those files, too. The Zilithians seemed to value politeness above everything else. Their messages were full of fancy words and careful phrases. They never said anything directly. Everything was wrapped in layers of courtesy. What about their technology? Jake asked. "Advanced, but not impossible to understand," Kevin replied. "Their ships are bigger than ours, but we've built good things too. The important thing is to show them we can be civilized." Amy Rodriguez, the cultural translator, joined the group. She was young but very smart about languages and customs. "I've been listening to their radio signals. They use a lot of ceremony in their daily talk. Even simple requests sound like formal speeches." "That's fine," Lisa said. "We've trained for this. Remember, everyone, we represent all of humanity today. Every word we speak, every action we take, will be judged by these aliens. They need to see that humans can be trusted." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Everyone knew their job. The ship moved smoothly through space toward the neutral zone where first contact would happen. Lisa felt proud of her team. They were the best Earth had to offer. "Captain, we're picking up something on sensors," called out Ben Carter from the engineering station. He was a practical man who kept the ship running. "It's big, really big." Lisa looked at the main screen. A shape appeared in the distance. As they got closer, she could see it was a ship, unlike anything humans had ever built. It looked like it was made of crystal and metal mixed together. Beautiful but strange. The alien vessel was at least 5 times larger than the Harmony. "Impressive," Kevin whispered. "Look at those energy readings." The alien ship seemed to glow with its own light. Patterns of color moved across its surface like living art. Lisa had to admit it was beautiful, but it also made her feel small. "Incoming transmission," Amy announced. "They're using the quantum communication system we agreed on." "Put it through," Lisa ordered. The main screen changed. An alien face appeared. Lisa tried not to stare, but it was hard. The being had large eyes that looked like they were made of many small parts. Its skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer. When it spoke, the words came through their translation system. "Greetings, honored beings of the species known as humanity. I am High Coordinator Vexthel of the Zilithian Confederation. We extend our most respectful acknowledgments to your presence." In this space, Lisa stepped forward. She had practiced this moment many times. "High Coordinator Vexthel, we are deeply honored by your greeting. I am Captain Lisa Martinez of the United Earthship Harmony. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to build understanding between our peoples." The alien's expression was hard to read, but it seemed pleased. "Your courtesy brings harmony to this meeting. We have observed your species from afar and find your dedication to peaceful contact most adequate. Something about the word adequate bothered Lisa, but she pushed the feeling away. This was diplomacy. Sometimes words didn't translate perfectly. We are grateful for your patience with our inexperience, Lisa continued. We hope to learn much from your wisdom. Indeed, your species shows promise, despite your limitations. We shall guide you toward proper understanding of galactic civilization. Jake shifted slightly behind Lisa. She could feel his tension, but he stayed quiet. This was her show. We would be honored to learn from you, Lisa said. Perhaps we could arrange a formal meeting aboard one of our vessels? That would be acceptable. We shall prepare appropriate ceremonies. Your primitive translation systems may struggle with our more complex concepts, but we shall speak simply for your benefit. Again, something felt wrong about the alien's words, but Lisa kept smiling. First, contact was supposed to be difficult. These beings were ancient and advanced. Of course, they would seem condescending to humans. Thank you for your consideration, Lisa replied. We have prepared our finest accommodations for your visit. Adequate preparations will suffice. We do not expect your species to match our standards immediately. Growth takes time, even for the most eager of young races. The conversation continued for another hour. Every exchange followed the same pattern. The aliens spoke with careful politeness, but there was always something underneath. Every compliment came with a qualification. Every agreement included a reminder of human limitations. When the call ended, Lisa felt drained. Diplomacy was harder than she expected. Well, that went smoothly, Kevin said. They seem willing to work with us. Yeah, but did anyone else notice how they kept calling us young and primitive? Ben asked. I mean, I get that we're new to space, but they made it sound like we're children. That's just their way, Amy said, but she looked uncertain. Some cultures use humility as a form of respect. Jake crossed his arms. I don't like it. Something feels off about their attitude. We can't judge them by human standards, Lisa said. This is exactly why we need to be careful. One wrong move could ruin everything. Over the next few hours, the crew prepared for the aliens' visit. They cleaned every surface until it sparkled. They arranged flowers and art to show humanity's peaceful nature. They practiced their greeting ceremony until every movement was perfect. But as they worked, Lisa noticed something. The alien ship wasn't just sitting there. It was scanning them. Deep, thorough scans that went far beyond what was needed for safety. When she asked about it, the alien said it was standard procedure for primitive vessels. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the alien's words. Every phrase seemed designed to make humans feel small and grateful. Was this normal for first contact? Or was something else going on? She walked to the observation deck and looked out at the alien ship. It was beautiful but alien. Tomorrow, representatives from that vessel would board her ship. They would judge humanity based on what they saw. Lisa just hoped they were ready for whatever came next. The second day of contact began with ceremony. High Coordinator Vex Thal and two other Zilithians transported aboard the Harmony using technology that made them appear in sparkles of light. Lisa and her team waited in the main conference room, dressed in their best uniforms. The aliens were taller than expected, about 7 feet each. Their skin had that same blue shimmer, and their eyes reflected light like mirrors. They moved with careful, measured steps, as if every action was planned in advance. Welcome aboard the U's Harmony, Lisa said, bowing exactly as they had practiced. We are honored by your presence. Your vessel is functional, Vexthal replied, looking around the room. We appreciate your efforts to accommodate beings of our stature. The other two aliens said nothing. They just observed everything with those strange eyes. Lisa noticed they seemed to be recording or scanning constantly. Dr. Kevin Thompson stepped forward. High Coordinator, we have prepared detailed information about human culture and history. We hope it will help our peoples understand each other. How? Thoughtful. We have also prepared materials about proper galactic civilization. Your species will need extensive guidance to reach acceptable standards. Amy Rodriguez, who had been quiet, finally spoke. Forgive me, but could you tell us more about these standards? We want to make sure we understand correctly. Vexthals. Expression seemed pleased. Of course. Young species often struggle with complex concepts. The Galactic Confederation has specific requirements for new members. Order, hierarchy, and respect for elder races are fundamental. Elder races? Jake asked. Indeed. The Zilithians have guided galactic civilization for over 10,000 of your years. We have helped many primitive species find their proper place. In the cosmic order, Lisa felt that uncomfortable feeling again. The way Vexthal said, proper place, made it sound like humans would be put somewhere specific, whether they wanted it or not. The meeting continued for hours. The aliens shared information about galactic politics, trade routes, and something they called protection agreements. It all sounded reasonable, but Amy kept frowning at her translation device. During a break, Amy pulled Lisa aside. Captain, I'm seeing some strange patterns in their language. The translation system is working fine, but there are undertones that don't match what they're saying. What kind of undertones? It's hard to explain. When they say guidance, the actual meaning seems closer to control. When they talk about proper place, it feels more like assigned position. Lisa nodded. Keep monitoring, but don't let them know you're suspicious. Meanwhile, Ben Carter was having his own problems. As the ship's engineer, he was responsible for making sure the alien technology didn't interfere with human systems. But he was picking up strange signals from the alien devices. Jake, can you come down to engineering? Ben called over the comm system. I need to show you something. In the engine room, Ben pointed to his monitoring equipment. Look at this. The aliens' translation devices aren't just translating. They're transmitting everything we say to their ship. That could be normal, Jake said. Maybe they're just keeping records. That's what I thought too. But watch this. Ben adjusted his scanners. They're not just recording our words. They're broadcasting this entire meeting to multiple ships. There's a whole fleet out there, hidden just outside our sensor range. Jake's expression hardened. How many ships? At least 20, maybe more. And they're not just watching us. They're talking to each other about us. Can you break into their communications? I've been trying. Their encryption is good, but our quantum computers are better than they think. Give me a few more hours. Back in the conference room, the formal discussions continued. The aliens presented their vision of humanity's future in space. It sounded wonderful at first. Protection from hostile species, access to advanced technology, and inclusion in galactic civilization. But as Vexthal explained the details, Lisa began to understand what Amy meant about hidden meanings. Every benefit came with restrictions. Every gift required giving something up. Your species would contribute to galactic security by providing personnel for peacekeeping missions, Vexthal said. Of course, such personnel would need proper training and supervision. What kind of supervision? Lisa asked. Zilithian advisors would ensure your people follow correct procedures. Young races often make dangerous mistakes without proper guidance. Doctor. Thompson leaned forward. And in return, we would receive protection? Indeed. The galaxy can be dangerous for inexperienced species. Many have been destroyed by their own ignorance. We would ensure humanity avoids such unfortunate fates. The way he said it made Lisa's skin crawl. It sounded less like protection and more like a threat. High Coordinator, Amy said carefully, could you tell us about other species you've helped in this way? Certainly. The Krill were once a proud warrior race. We helped them find peace through proper labor assignments. The Venth had dangerous ideas about independence. We guided them toward more cooperative attitudes. Lisa and her team exchanged quick glances. The aliens were talking about other species, like they were problems that had been solved. Where are these species now? Jake asked. They serve the Confederation in various capacities. The Krill provide excellent manual labor. The Venth have become skilled at following detailed instructions. Both races are much happier now that they understand their proper roles. The room fell silent. Lisa felt sick. These aliens weren't talking about partnership. They were talking about conquest disguised as help. We appreciate your guidance, Lisa said slowly. But perhaps we should discuss this more before making any decisions. Of course. Young species often need time to accept wisdom. We expected this reaction. That evening, Ben Carter made his breakthrough. He had cracked part of the alien communication system. What he heard made his blood run cold. Jake, get the captain down here right now, Ben said over a secure channel. And bring Amy. They need to hear this. When the senior officers gathered in engineering, Ben played the intercepted alien. Communications. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear. The humans are even more primitive than expected, one alien voice said. Their technology is adequate for basic labor, but they lack the sophistication for independent operation. Agreed, came another voice. The female leader shows proper deference. This species will accept subordination easily. Their military capabilities are laughable, a third voice added. A few demonstrations of our power should eliminate any thoughts of resistance. Lisa felt something change inside her as she listened. These aliens weren't partners. They were predators. There's more, Ben said. He played another segment. The resource surveys of their homeworld are promising. Rich deposits of rare elements, and the population is large enough for significant labor extraction. How long before we can begin standard integration procedures? Soon. Once they sign the protection agreement, we can begin relocating their leadership. The remaining population will be much easier to manage. Amy's face was pale. Captain, they're not talking about alliance. They're talking about slavery. Jake's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. We need to get out of here. No, Lisa said quietly. We need to think about this carefully. I don't know we can understand their real communications. That gives us an advantage. What kind of advantage? Kevin asked. Lisa looked at her team. These aliens had made one critical mistake. They assumed humans were too primitive to understand what was really happening. They thought human politeness was weakness. The kind of advantage that comes from being underestimated, Lisa said. They want to see how civilized we can be. Tomorrow, we're going to show them exactly what human civilization looks like when the gloves come off. What are you planning? Amy asked. I'm planning to stop being polite, Lisa replied. It's time these aliens learned that human courtesy is a choice, not a weakness, and we're about to choose differently. The night passed slowly. Lisa's team prepared for the next day's meeting, but their preparations were very different from before. They weren't practicing diplomacy anymore. They were planning for war. Lisa Martinez called an emergency meeting at 03:00 hours. The conference room was dimly lit, and the faces around the table were grim. Everyone had heard the alien communications now. The truth was out. We have a problem, Lisa began. These aliens aren't here to make friends. They're here to make us servants. Dr. Kevin Thompson shook his head. Captain, maybe we misunderstood. Different cultures express things differently. Kevin, they talked about labor extraction and relocating leadership, Amy said. How many ways can you interpret that? They also mentioned other species they've helped, Jake added. Species that are now doing manual labor and following orders. That's not help. That's conquest. Ben Carter pulled up the technical data on his tablet. I've been analyzing their ship scans of us. They're not just looking at our technology. They're mapping our weapons, our defenses, our population centers. This is military intelligence gathering. Lisa stood up and walked to the window. The alien ship hung in space like a beautiful trap. So what are options? We could run, Jake suggested. Jump back to Earth and warn everyone. And then what? They have 20 ships. We have one. They'll just follow us home. We could try to negotiate, Kevin said. Maybe if we understand their real position, we can find a compromise. There's no compromise with slavers, Amy said firmly. I've been studying their culture files again. Every partnership they've made ended the same way. The other species disappeared as independent cultures. Lisa turned back to the group. There's a third option. We could show them that humans aren't as helpless as they think. What do you mean? Ben asked. I mean, we stopped playing their game. We've been so focused on being polite and diplomatic that we've forgotten who we are. Humans didn't get to space by being nice. We got here by being stubborn, clever, and absolutely refusing to give up. Jake smiled grimly. You want to drop the diplomatic act? I want to show them what humans look like when we stop pretending to be weak. The next morning, High Coordinator Vex Thel and his team returned to the Harmony. They expected another day of formal meetings where they would gradually reveal more of their generous offer to guide humanity. Instead, they found Lisa and her team waiting in the conference room with very different expressions. The careful politeness was gone. The formal posture was gone. The desperate eagerness to please was completely gone. Good morning, High Coordinator, Lisa said. Her voice was calm, but carried a new edge. Please, have a seat. Vexthal noticed the change immediately. Your demeanor seems different today. Captain Martinez. Yes, it is. We've been doing some thinking about your offer. Excellent. Young species often need time to appreciate the benefits of proper guidance. Lisa looked directly into the alien's multifaceted eyes. Actually, we've been thinking about your real offer, the one you discussed with your fleet last night. The alien's expression didn't change, but Lisa could sense his sudden alertness. I'm not certain what you mean. I mean the conversation where you talked about labor extraction and relocating our leadership. The one where you called our military capabilities laughable. The silence that followed was deafening. Vexthal's two companions shifted nervously. For the first time since contact began, the aliens looked uncertain. Your translation systems must be malfunctioning, Vexthal said. Carefully. We have made no such communications. Oh, but you have, Ben said, activating a holographic display. We've been listening to everything. Your encryption is good, but our quantum computers are better than you expected. The alien communications played back in perfect clarity. Every condescending comment, every plan for human subjugation, every casual discussion of humanity's fate. The aliens listened to their own words with growing alarm. You see, Lisa continued, we've learned something interesting about your species. You're not actually very good at understanding other cultures. You just assume everyone is as stupid as you need them to be. This is ... There must be some misunderstanding, Vexthal said. The only misunderstanding is yours, Dr. Thompson said. His voice was cold and clinical. You assumed human politeness was weakness. You assumed our courtesy was submission. You were wrong. Amy leaned forward. We've been analyzing your behavioral patterns. Your species conquered others through deception and gradual control. You've done it so often, that you think it's the only way intelligent species interact. That's not true, one of the other aliens said. Isn't it? Jake asked. Tell me about the krill. Tell me about the venth. Tell me about all the other species. You've helped into slavery. Vexthea's composure was cracking. You don't understand galactic politics. Young species need guidance. No, Lisa said, standing up. Young species need to be left alone to develop naturally. What you're describing isn't guidance. It's cultural genocide. You cannot possibly survive without our protection, Vexthel insisted. The galaxy is full of hostile species. Species like you? Ben asked. We are not hostile. We are benevolent guides. Lisa laughed, but there was no humor in it. Benevolent guides don't need fleets of warships to enforce their help. How did you know about the fleet? Vexthel asked before he could stop himself. Because we're not as primitive as you think, Lisa replied. Our sensors are quite good when we know what to look for. The mood in the room had completely changed. The aliens were no longer in control of the conversation. They were being dissected by humans who had stopped pretending to be impressed. Here's what's going to happen, Lisa continued. You're going to return to your ship. You're going to call off your fleet, and you're going to leave our space. You cannot make demands, Vexthel said, but his voice lacked conviction. Watch me, Lisa replied. Dr. Thompson, please share your analysis of Zilithian biology. Kevin activated his own display. Zilithians are adapted to low-gravity environments. Their bone structure is fragile by human standards. Their respiratory system requires specific atmospheric conditions. They're physically dependent on their technology for basic survival. Fascinating, Amy added. A species that's so dependent on machines that they can't function without them. No wonder they need slaves to do physical labor. Commander Williams. Lisa said, please explain human military capabilities. Jake smiled coldly. Humans are adapted for high-gravity environments. We're physically stronger, faster, and more durable than Zilithians. We're also psychologically adapted for conflict. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We're very, very good at it. Your threats don't frighten us, Vexthel said, but he was clearly frightened. These aren't threats, Lisa replied. They're facts. Ben, show them the tactical. Analysis. Ben's display showed detailed scans of the alien ships. Your vessels are large, but not particularly well armed. Most of your technology is focused on stealth and manipulation, not direct combat. You're built for conquering helpless species, not fighting real wars. Additionally, Amy said, we've identified 17 critical weaknesses in your ship designs. Your power systems are vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses. Your life support systems have single points of failure. Your weapon systems have predictable recharge cycles. Vexthel looked around the room in growing panic. These humans were systematically destroying every assumption his species had made about them. This is impossible, he whispered. You're a young species. You should be grateful for our guidance. We are a young species, Lisa agreed, but we're not stupid. And we're definitely not grateful for attempted enslavement. You don't understand what you're rejecting, Vexthel said desperately. Without our protection, you'll be destroyed by other species. Maybe, Lisa said, but that's our choice to make. We'd rather die free than live as slaves. The alien stared at her. You would choose death over security? Every time, Lisa replied without hesitation. That's what it means to be human. We don't surrender our freedom for promises of safety. This is madness, Vexthel said. No, Lisa said. This is humanity. And you're about to learn why we're more dangerous than you thought. The meeting was over. The aliens knew it, and so did the humans. The facade of diplomatic courtesy had been stripped away, revealing the truth underneath. The Zilithians had expected to find a weak species ready for conquest. Instead, They had found something they had never encountered before, a species that chose to be polite, but was perfectly capable of being deadly dot as the aliens prepared to leave. Lisa made one final statement. Tell your fleet that humanity declines your offer. Tell them that we choose independence over servitude. And tell them that if they try to force the issue, they'll discover just how uncivilized humans can be. The switch had been flipped. The galaxy was about to learn what humans looked like when they stopped being nice. The transformation was immediate and total. Within hours of the aliens' departure, the USS Harmony became a different ship. The careful diplomatic protocols were abandoned. The formal uniforms were replaced with practical work clothes. The polite smiles disappeared entirely. Lisa Martinez stood in the command center, watching the alien fleet on her tactical display. 23 ships now, all trying to hide behind stealth technology that humans had already figured out how to defeat. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Zilithian flagship, Amy reported. Her voice was calm and professional, but there was steel underneath. Put it through, Lisa ordered. High Coordinator Vex Thill appeared on the screen. He looked different now, less composed. Captain Martinez, there seems to have been a serious misunderstanding. Perhaps we should discuss the situation more calmly. There's no misunderstanding, Lisa replied. You came here to enslave my species. We said no. Now you need to leave. You're making a terrible mistake. Without our protection, humanity will be destroyed by hostile forces within a standard cycle. Maybe, but that's still better than being your slaves. We are not slavers. We are guides, teachers, protectors of young civilizations. Dr. Kevin Thompson stepped into view. High Coordinator, I've been analyzing the historical records you shared with us. Every species you've guided has suffered the same fate. Complete loss of autonomy, forced labor, cultural extinction. That's not guidance. That's genocide. The survival of young species requires sacrifice, Vexthal insisted. The survival of species requires freedom, Kevin shot back. Without the ability to choose their own path, a species isn't really alive. It's just existing. Then Carter looked up from his engineering station. Captain, they're charging their weapon systems. Are they now? Lisa asked. How interesting. I thought they were here to protect us. This is your final warning, Vexthal said. Accept our guidance willingly, or face the consequences of your defiance. Lisa smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Commander Williams, please show our guests what human defiance looks like. Jake activated the ship's defensive systems. Energy shields flared to life around the Harmony. Weapon ports opened along the hull. The ship's entire posture changed from diplomatic vessel to warship in seconds. This is impossible, Vexthal whispered. Your ship is a diplomatic vessel. Our ship is whatever we need it to be, Lisa replied. Did you really think we'd come to meet unknown aliens without being prepared for the worst? But your scans showed minimal armament, one of the other aliens protested. Our scans showed what we wanted you to see, Ben said. Humans are very good at hiding things when we need to. Amy pulled up a new display. High Coordinator, you've been operating under several false assumptions about humanity. First, you assumed we were too primitive to understand your true intentions. Second, you assumed we were too weak to resist. Third, you assumed we were too naive to prepare for betrayal. All three assumptions were wrong, Dr. Thompson added. We understood your intentions from the first day. We've been preparing for this moment since we left Earth. Preparing how? Vexthal asked. Jake, show them the real fleet positions, Lisa ordered. The tactical display expanded. The alien fleet was still there, but now it was surrounded. Human ships appeared on the screen, dozens of them, all in perfect attack positions. You see, Lisa explained, While you were scanning us and making your plans, we were making ours. Every human ship in this sector has been moving into position for the last 48 hours. This is impossible, Vexthal repeated. We detected no other ships. That's because you were looking for ships like yours, Ben said. Large, obvious. Designed to intimidate. Human ships are built for stealth and speed. We've been here all along. You're bluffing, Vexthal said, but his voice shook. Am I? Lisa asked. Computer, signal the fleet. Execute pattern alpha. The human ships uncloaked simultaneously. Sleek, deadly vessels that had been invisible suddenly appeared throughout. The alien formation. Each one was smaller than the Zilithian ships, but there were 3 times as many of them. Holy war formations, Jake explained helpfully. We learned this from our own history. When facing a larger enemy, you surround them with smaller, faster units. Each of our ships can destroy one of yours before you can react. This is an act of war, Vexthal protested. No, Lisa corrected. This is a demonstration. You threatened us first. We're just showing you that threats work both ways. Amy leaned forward. High Coordinator, your species has been conquering others for so long that you've forgotten what it's like to face real resistance. You've become soft, dependent on technology and deception. You've lost the ability to fight. Humans, on the other hand, never stopped fighting, Dr. Thompson said. We've been at war with each other for our entire history. We know every trick, every strategy, every weakness. We're very good at it. Your weapons are inferior, Vexthal said desperately. Our weapons are different, Ben replied. Yours are designed for intimidation and control. Ours are designed to kill efficiently. There's a big difference. Lisa stood up. High Coordinator, I'm going to explain something to you. Human politeness isn't weakness. It's a choice. We choose to be civilized because we want to be, not because we have to be. When we stop choosing to be civilized, we become something else entirely. What do you become? Vexthal asked. Dangerous, Lisa replied simply. Very, very dangerous. The bridge fell silent. The aliens stared at the humans with growing understanding. These weren't the primitive, grateful beings they had expected. These were predators who had chosen to be polite. Here's what's going to happen, Lisa continued. You're going to leave our space. You're going to stay away from Earth. You're going to tell every other species in the galaxy that humanity is not available for conquest. And if we refuse? Vexthal asked. Then you'll discover what happens when humans stop being polite and start being efficient. Jake smiled coldly. High Coordinator, your species has been playing a game for thousands of years. You find weak species. You trick them into submission. You use them up, and you move on. It's worked well for you. But you made one mistake, Amy added. You assumed all species were weak. You never learned how to fight a real war against equals. We did, Ben said. We've been fighting real wars for millennia. We know how to win them. This is madness, Vexthal said. You're dooming your entire species. Maybe, Lisa agreed. But we're doing it as free beings making our own choices. That's worth any risk. You don't understand the galaxy, Vexthal protested. There are species out there that will destroy you. Then we'll fight them too, Lisa said. But we'll do it as humans, not as slaves. Dr. Thompson activated another display. High Coordinator, we've been analyzing the genetic patterns of the species you've helped. Do you know what we found? What? They're all extinct. Oh, their bodies are still alive, but their cultures, their languages, their ways of thinking have all been erased. You don't guide species. You hollow them out and wear their skins. That's not true, Vexthal said weakly. It is true, Amy said, and it's what you planned for us. Turn us into human-shaped Zilithians. Make us forget what we are. But here's the thing, Lisa said. We remember what we are. We're humans. We're stubborn, violent, creative, and absolutely unwilling to surrender our freedom. We'd rather die fighting than live as slaves. You're all insane, Maxthal whispered. Probably, Lisa agreed. But we're free. And we're going to stay that way. The alien fleet began to move. Slowly, reluctantly, the ships started to withdraw from human space. But Lisa knew this wasn't over. The Zilithians wouldn't give up easily. Captain, Amy said quietly, they're transmitting to something. Long-range communications. To who? I'm not sure. But whatever they're saying, they're sending it to the entire Galactic Confederation. Lisa nodded. Good. Let them tell everyone. What happened here? Let every species in the galaxy know that humans don't surrender. Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command, Men reported. Put it through. Admiral Sarah Collins appeared on a secondary screen. Captain Martinez, we've been monitoring the situation. Are you all right? We're fine, Admiral. The aliens have withdrawn. Excellent work, Captain. Your actions here have changed everything. We're already receiving communications from other species who've been watching these events. What kind of communications? Interest, respect, and in some cases, requests for alliance. Admiral Collins smiled. It seems the galaxy has been waiting for someone to stand up to the Zilithians. Lisa looked at her crew. They had done something incredible. They had faced an advanced alien species and refused to be intimidated. They had shown the galaxy that humanity would not be conquered. Admiral, what are our orders? Continue your mission, Captain. But the mission has changed. You're no longer just a diplomatic vessel. You're now humanity's first ambassador to a galaxy that's suddenly very interested in what we have to offer. The transmission ended. Lisa looked around the bridge at her team. They were tired, stressed, but victorious. They had faced their first real test as a spacefaring species and passed. So, Jake said, what happens now? Now we find out what the rest of the galaxy is like, Lisa replied. And we make sure they understand that humans are partners, not subjects. Think they'll try again? Ben asked. The Zilithians? Probably. But next, Tim. 3 weeks later, the Hughes Harmony arrived at Galactic Council Station Alpha. The massive space station was the size of a small moon, built from materials Lisa had never seen before. Ships from dozens of species docked at its ports. This was the center of galactic civilization. Lisa stood on the bridge, wearing a simple black uniform instead of the fancy diplomatic dress she had worn for the Zilithians. Her crew was similarly dressed. They had learned their lesson about putting on shows for aliens. Captain, we're being hailed by station control, Amy reported. Put them through. An alien face appeared on screen. This one looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect. Hughes Harmony, you are cleared for Diplomatic Dock 7. The Council is waiting for you. Thank you, Lisa replied simply. The docking procedure was smooth. As they walked through the station corridors, Lisa noticed how other beings looked at them. Some stared with curiosity, others with respect, a few with fear. The council chamber was enormous. Representatives from over 50 species sat in a circular arrangement. At the center was a raised platform where speakers addressed the assembly. High Coordinator Vextal was already there, along with several other Zilithians. They looked uncomfortable and kept glancing at the human delegation. The council recognizes. Captain Lisa Martinez of the species known as humanity announced the council speaker, a being that looked like a walking tree. Lisa stepped onto the central platform. She looked around at the assembled aliens calmly. No bowing, no formal speeches, no desperate attempts to impress. Thank you for inviting us, she said simply. We're here to represent humanity's interests in galactic affairs. The Zilithian delegation has made serious accusations against your species, the speaker continued. They claim you threatened them with violence and rejected lawful guidance. That's correct, Lisa replied without hesitation. A murmur went through the chamber. Most species would have denied the charges or tried to explain them away. You admit to threatening a senior member of the Confederation? The speaker asked. I admit to refusing enslavement and defending my species' right to exist as free beings. Another murmur, louder this time. Vexthal stood up. You see? They are violent and unreasonable. Young species require guidance to prevent such dangerous attitudes. Lisa turned to face him. High Coordinator, would you like to explain to the Council what your guidance entails? Would you like to tell them about labor extraction and population relocation? I don't know what you mean, Vexthal said. Quickly. Then let me help you remember, Lisa said. She activated a holographic projector. The alien communications they had intercepted played for the entire council to hear. The reaction was immediate. Several species began talking at once. Others sat in stunned silence. A few looked angry. These recordings could be fabricated, Vexthal protested. Could be, Lisa agreed. But they're not. And you know it. A new voice spoke up. It came from one of the bird-like Vari. The humans speak truth. The Zilithians offered us similar guidance 3 cycles ago. We refused and were branded as hostile. As did we, said another species. The Zilithians promised protection, but demanded our children for education programs. Education programs that never return graduates, added a third species. Lisa watched as species after species began sharing their experiences with Zilithian guidance. A pattern emerged. The same offers, the same demands, the same gradual loss of freedom. This is preposterous, Vexthal said. These species are lying to support the humans. Are they? Lisa asked. Or are they finally feeling safe enough to tell the truth? A council speaker called for order. This session will continue tomorrow. All parties will have time to prepare their statements. As the session ended, Lisa and her team were approached by representatives from several species. The conversations were very different from the formal diplomatic language they had heard from the Zilithians. Your people fought back, said an Avari representative. We thought resistance was impossible. Resistance is always possible, Lisa replied. It just requires the will to accept the consequences. But the Zilithians are powerful. Their technology is advanced. Technology is just tools, Dr. Thompson said. It doesn't replace courage or determination. Over the next few days, the hearings continued. More species came forward with evidence of Zilithian manipulation. The pattern was always the same. Offers of protection, gradual demands for control, and eventual subjugation. But something else was happening. Species that had never worked together were talking. Alliances were forming. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council was actually functioning as more than a Zilithian puppet show. The humans have changed everything, Lisa overheard one alien say to another. They showed us that the Zilithians can be defied. On the final day of hearings, Lisa was called to speak again. This time, the chamber was packed. Representatives from over 100 species had come to hear what humanity had to say. The question before this council is simple, Lisa began. Do species have the right to determine their own fate, or should they be grateful for whatever fate others choose? For them, humanity chooses self-determination. We choose the right to make our own mistakes and learn from them. We choose the right to succeed or fail based on our own efforts. The Zilithians offer safety in exchange for freedom. They promise to solve all problems in exchange for the right to make all decisions. Some species may find that attractive. But for humans, freedom is more valuable than safety. Independence is more important than comfort. We would rather struggle as free beings and prosper as slaves. This doesn't make us enemies of order or peace. It makes us partners who insist on being treated as equals rather than children. She paused and looked around the chamber. The galaxy is full of different species with different values. That diversity is strength, not weakness. But diversity only works when it's voluntary. We're not asking anyone to be like us. We're just asking for the right to be ourselves. The chamber was silent when she finished. Then, slowly, one species began applauding. Then another. Soon the entire chamber was filled with the sounds of approval from dozens of different species. When the final vote came, the results were overwhelming. The council voted to establish new guidelines for interspecies contact. No more guidance without consent. No more protection without request. No more decisions made for species by other species. The Zilithians walked out of the chamber. They had lost more than a vote. They had lost their entire system of control. What happens now? Amy asked as they prepared to leave the station. Now, we go home and tell Earth what we learned, Lisa replied. The galaxy is bigger and more complicated than we thought, but it's also more free than it was before. Think the Zilithians will try again? Jake asked. Probably. But next time they won't be facing one species. They'll be facing an alliance of free worlds. Ben looked up from his engineering reports. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Admiral Collins wants to congratulate us on our work. Tell the Admiral we accomplished our mission. We made contact with galactic civilization and established humanity's position. What position is that? Dr. Thompson asked. Lisa smiled as she looked out at the stars. Equal partners who choose. Cooperation over submission. Free beings who make our own decisions and live with the consequences. And if anyone doesn't like it? Amy asked. Then they'll discover what happens when humans stop being polite and start being direct. As the Harmony left the station, Lisa thought about how much had changed in just a few weeks. Humanity had gone from unknown newcomers to leaders of a new galactic movement. They had shown that politeness was a choice, not weakness. They had proven that courtesy could be set aside when necessary. The galaxy would never be the same. And neither would humanity. The final transmission came from the Avari Collective. Captain Martinez, the free species of the galaxy, wish to thank you. You have given us something we thought was lost forever. What's that? Lisa asked. Hope. The hope that freedom is still possible in a galaxy that had forgotten what it meant. Lisa smiled. Freedom is always possible. It just requires the courage to choose it. The communication ended. The Harmony set course for Earth, carrying news that would change everything. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as subjects or servants, but as free beings who refused to surrender their independence. The switch had been flipped. The mask had been removed. And the galaxy had learned that human politeness was a gift, not a weakness. A gift that could be withdrawn when necessary. Earth would soon learn that they were no longer alone in the universe. But more importantly, they would learn that they were still free. And in a galaxy full of species that had forgotten what freedom meant, that made humanity something very special indeed.